every organization, the quality of a man, woman, or organization is directly proportional to the commitment to excellence. Now, the people are the organization is the people. So therefore, the commitment to excellence of each individual person matters. What is that exactly? Well, it's daily habits, diets, attitude, man, it's motivation, it's self-reliance, all these different things, self-talk, right? All these different things it's how you do anything is the way you do everything. It's are you sleeping in because you're tired? Man, you're not tired, you're uninspired. Get the fuck up. That protein coming in. Day one, keep those macros. Doesn't matter if you're traveling or not, man. Keep those macros tight. Getting up there. Early bird gets the worm, man. With your first place.
Sacramento, and we're on our way to the next stop.
Next stop, man. Next stop. That M8 series, bro. Damn. Man, you know, if we got to ride 2 hours up to Reading, I was like, man, Gonz and I got to do it in style, man. We got to do it in fun. And this part about driving the M8 series is the fucking get up, dude.
Just tapped it a little bit.
Just tap-a-roo, man. We're gonna get there lickety-split. Dude, we're in, I don't know if anybody knows, but we're in YOLO County, bro. You can't make this shit up, dude. We just passed YOLO County line just outside of Sacramento International. Man, you couldn't write this shit better. YOLO bypass. Northbound YOLO. Bro. Tried and true 7-Eleven, baby. You know it. You can never go wrong. You always know what you're going to get. That grand consistency, man. That's what we like here. Consistency. The key to success. Correct consistency. Oh, we had to get the M8 series, bro. Damn, this thing's fast. 2-hour drive up to Reading from Sacramento International. Gonz and I got to do it fun, man. We got to do it fast, too. Lickety split. Get up here quick in this thing, man. This thing's badass.
Right. We drove all the way to Reading, so it was about a 2-hour drive, and I had fun. So now, probably gonna grab some quick breakfast, and then we're gonna head to the gym, 7 o'clock. Text TCAV right now, see what's going on. Let's get it going, see what happens today. I think that today is going to be a good day. We're going to get a lot done, and I have a feeling he's going to say something that's gonna like hit that crowd so hard. It's really gonna make an impact.
And we are waking up in the morning in the hotel gym, nothing fancy, but even if it's not perfect, man, just get a little in, right? Something's better than nothing. And today we're gonna be on stage laying it down, putting that good word out, and the battle rhythm doesn't change, right? The tenets stay the same. Wake up, reflection, movement. It's all really important, man, right? Starting your day deliberately. Starting your day with mindfulness. It's what sets the tone for the rest of the day, for your life, man. Mastering the day is all about mindfulness. It's all about moving and doing things in a strategic way. Man, people take, when they travel, a lot of times, and I've fallen into this too, but people will take the traveling as an excuse, right? Like, a lot of times traveling, man, I choose to look at it as even easier, man, because really, you can simplify and roll straight Spartan on some shit. People are like, oh, I can't eat well, or, well, then fucking don't eat out, don't eat bullshit, man. Go buy some protein drinks, put them in go buy some tuna packets, man. It's all in your head, man. Figure out a way to do it, not why you can't do it. And also, there's a lot of distractions that you can eliminate when you travel. In the hotel room, man, it's like a barracks room, dude. So it's up to you how you want to approach it. Approach it with the mindset of, man, oh, this is an opportunity to get even more dialed in and simplify. Right? Don't be sitting in there doing weird shit in your hotel room, dude. Fucking keep that moral clarity correct. Man, keep what you're doing correct. Wake up on time. Man, it's not an excuse. Man, it's actually a reason to get it even harder, man. And especially today, man, when you're getting up doing a speech, man, you gotta be locked on. Moving and grooving, bro. Whew, man. Should be a good day today, Gons. Should be a good day, bro.
Yeah.
We'll hammer this out. I talked to the event coordinator. Everything's good to go. We'll kind of go in there. They'll do an intro, and then we'll just kind of send it. The overall theme, man, today I'm kind of going with is, because we're dealing with an organization, man, is excellence, man. That commitment to excellence, right? The quality of an organization is the quality of its people. So, therefore, each individual's commitment to excellence matters. It matters. Individual habits, self-talk, attitude, all those things, kind of what I'm going to hit on. A little bit of the story and how I learned some of these things in SEAL teams, French Sworn Legion, and how it wasn't until I started understanding that, with how important that commitment to excellence was, and not just trying to achieve things. External validation, right? That's trying to do things. That's not really commitment to excellence. Commitment to excellence is an individual thing, and it's a day-to-day thing. It's a simple thing, right? It's those daily habits. How's it going? Is the mic up? How's everybody doing? Can you hear me?
You gotta turn it on.
You gotta flip the switch.
We actually didn't test that, so sorry. But we'll do it live like this, it's all good. So that kind of recap, that was the path to, through, and here to this stage was not a fairy tale. It was a lot of failure, missteps, a lot of lessons learned the hard way. And it's powerful to be here right now. Kind of when I hear that, just grateful truly, to be here talking to everybody. And I look at a room like this and I think, how much untapped potential is in here? What is untapped potential? I think of untapped potential like that authentic voice that you hear in your head. Everybody hears it. It's that collective unconscious that's guiding you. It's that guiding force. Call it God, call it the universe, call it whatever you want. But it's answering that calling. It can be losing that weight, putting down that drink, treating your spouse a little better, operating at work a little better, going that extra mile, doing what you're not paid to do. All those things, I call that aligned living. And it took me, still learning it, but it took me a long time to kind of listen to that voice and actually start actioning it. And what I think about it's commitment to excellence. And every organization, the quality of a man, woman, or organization is directly proportional to the commitment to excellence. Now, the people are the organization is the people. So therefore, the commitment to excellence of each individual person matters. Now, what is that exactly? Well, it's daily habits, it's diet, it's attitude, man, it's motivation, it's self-reliance, all these different things, self-talk, right? All these different things it's how you do anything is the way you do everything. It's are you sleeping in because you're tired? Man, you're not tired, you're uninspired. Get the fuck up, right? What are you trying to do? Are you getting up and working on yourself? Or are you like sleeping in because you need to recoup, like to watch football on Sundays? It's like, come on, there's more to it. Now, I'm not saying you gotta be a robot, man. I'm not the David Goggins, you gotta run 100 million miles. That's not really how I get down. Anyway, but there's something to be learned there, and it's that continuing to push. Now, this isn't some motivational speech. It's really not. It's just a story of a journey, man. A story of a journey towards clarity and inner peace. That was really what I think that's what everybody's seeking, man. But to seek is to suffer. That's what everybody wants, is just to, man, be morally clear, feeling good about what you're doing, living every day. Right? I think that's what every single person on this planet sort of says, the two most coveted states. So therefore, it's definitely not free. It's not going to fall in your lap. You're not going to wake up with it. And so how do we go about this? We can talk in amorphic principles a little bit, but I'll tell you a little bit about the journey, kind of how I wasn't thinking about that stuff early on. I'm not going to get into childhood and stuff. None of that shit matters really anyway. But my dad was a Marine. They got divorced. My mom was a teacher. I was raised in Southern California. A little bit of a checkered youth. I always knew I wanted to be a Navy SEAL, though, from like 7 years old. I saw these glow lights floating in the bay, and I asked my dad, I was like, what's that? And he goes, those are Navy SEALs training in the bay. I was like, damn, that's like real human beings doing this shit? It was kind of a trip. So I was in Blockbuster. It was at that time, man. I was at Blockbuster, rent videos, man, in the library, just men with green faces, but it wasn't like some romantic thing of like Rambo. I wasn't really feeling it like that. I was just like, man, there's guys doing this job. It just spoke to me. But that all got shelved, right? Girls, sports, all this stuff. I ruined some opportunities in high school. I got kicked out for possession of marijuana and some fighting. And so now I'm in college, and those kind of bad habits, I go right into a massive car accident, flew out of a lifted tundra on the freeway, dislocated hip and all this stuff that shelved the football career. Not that I would have been great anyway, but a little too slow and too small, but it's all good. Now, but that didn't set me up. I walked through a plate glass window a few months later, whole face came off, 75 stitches to the face, kicking freshman year off. Right, man. My poor mom. But I got kicked out of that school, kicked off the football team, kicked out of the school, went home, JC's, now I'm doing drugs, kind of floating, doing all just the wrong stuff. Just pleasure seeking. When a man doesn't have purpose, he distracts himself with pleasure. That's absolute. And I had absolutely no purpose or like path or any type of guidance. And I wouldn't listen anyway if I did get it. And so I was kind of going down this path, and I had this moment of clarity, and this was one of those moments, which I had a few of those, and maybe people in this room, I'm sure everybody in this room's had it. It's like, you have that like, hey man, something needs to change. something, we need to make an adjustment here. And I had that, it was raining, it was October, it was like 2004, to kind of give you a time frame. And I remember this homeless guy, he had said to me a few months before, he goes, you know what rain means, man? Change. And I always thought about that. Somebody told me a little bit later, you're like, you sure the dude wasn't just asking for change, you know? But it was, maybe he was, man. But I took it real deep, man. I took it deep. And I remember his voice was echoing, man. And I was looking around and I just felt like the walls closing in. Like the cops were coming or something bad was gonna happen. And it ended up, for people I was around, it did happen soon after that. But I got out of there, I moved into the basement, gave away all my shit, my truck, car, apartment, everything. Pretty much threw the keys in the apartment and left. And I moved into a basement of my aunt and uncle's house. And it was just like isolated, man. Feeling like, man, I was BMOC or what I thought. Now I'm living in a basement with no heat in Boston, Gloucester, Massachusetts, if anybody's aware, like that area. And started kind of rebuilding. Working landscaping, working some construction stuff, masonry, and just trying to get my feet under me, training Muay Thai, working at a fish market, going to gym, but I locked it on for about 2 years. Transferred back to University of California, Santa Cruz, where I ended up getting a degree, politics and whatever, but pieced together a college degree. But during this time, when I got back to Santa Cruz, I lost all my discipline. It was like, I went through this phases of like compression and expansion. And I just hadn't really addressed that root cause of like committing to any type of excellence. I was just looking to, okay, I gotta do this next thing and not really thinking about with any like real purpose to it. And I stacked misdemeanors and arrests in like 2 years, probably like 10 or 12. And it was like dumb shit, fighting, drunk in public, DUIs, driving on suspended, just like knucklehead shit. But it was enough to where I was like, all right, I'm graduating from college, now I'm gonna go join the military. I'm like, what's up guys, let's do this. And they were like, dude, you're on fucking formal probation, man. They're like, you can't, dude, you have pending court cases. I was like, can't you guys clean that up? They're like, negative, dude. Like, and I was like, I lacked self-awareness on such a massive scale. Like, looking back, I'm like, dude, I don't know what the fuck I was thinking, but that's when I was like, oh, I actually have to address some of these things, right? And so I got a lawyer and a judge, and the judge was like, dude, you totally did not, abide by any of the things we were trying to tell you to do. So if you really want to go in the military, I'm not just gonna stamp this, we'll give you 6 months in jail. And I was like, all right, let's do this. It was the wait 3 years or 6 months, and county jail, lockdown facility, so there's, it wasn't prison, but it was no yard time or anything. I didn't see the sun for three and a half months, and it's, that wasn't the big part of the story. I was just glad to get commuted. So I got out, no real guarantee that I actually could get in the military, and I went to talk to the Marine Corps. Because I wanted to be a SEAL, but I was scared. I was like, I hate running, it's for the enemy, and I thought I was gonna fail. So I went to the Marine Corps, and they said, fucking no way, dude. Like, too many tattoos, you can't come in. And mind you, I didn't have neck and hands and all that stuff by that point. But it was just, they weren't feeling it. So they gave me a red, I couldn't even enlist, and I had a college degree. So I went to the Army, I was like, the Army will take anybody, dude, here I am. And they said, no, too much criminal background, we will not take you. This is when I went, oh shit, like my actions actually matter. And I was living on my mom's couch, riding a bike because I had no car, 23, fresh out of jail, can't even get in the military. And that, like, dude, you're a fucking loser, man, was just sinking on me. And I was depressed on the couch for like 3 days going, what am I gonna do? And I wrote, and I had that voice kind of hit me. It's like, dude, get up, write down your charges. Now, all the dispositions were cleared, fines were paid, and all this stuff. Just write it down, man. Or write down all the stuff they can prove, right? And write it down and go talk to the Navy recruiter. And I went and talked to the Navy recruiter, and he looked at it, and he went, we can work with this, man. And it was like, okay, I had like one string of hooks. I needed a lot of waivers, tattoos, conduct. And so I was like, well, who do I need to talk to? Who makes the decision in like Southern California for signing these SEAL contracts? And they said, all right, it's this guy's retired SEAL and this active SEAL. So I said, all right, and I went and started working out with these guys. I called them, lined up, and it took me about 9 months. And I was getting out of jail, it was probably 230, and then I was about 185 like 5 weeks later. Right, just puking every day, sprinting with these guys, like I hadn't run a mile in years. I had started training and I was like, all right, we're gonna get training for Navy SEAL training, all right. And I ran around the block from my mom's house, dude, I couldn't even make it around the block. I was like, oh man, this is gonna be an uphill battle, but just kept showing up, and sooner or later, I was doing these formal tests. They're called SEAL Physical Screening Tests, PSTs. And they do them once a week at the Naval Amphibious Base down in San Diego. Well, they were doing it at North Island. So I was showing up every week. Active duty SEAL would end up becoming a good friend and signing my contract, would conduct these tests. We would proctor these tests. So it was a 500-meter swim. Then you jump out of the pool and you do 2 minutes of push-ups, 2 minutes of sit-ups, max pull-ups, and then a 1.5 mile run. That was all just back to back, and that's what they did every week. So I did about 47 of those in every week. And by the end, I was like one of the better guys. You know, I was racking up at the top, and finally I get a SEAL contract. Now, shipping off to SEAL, and I'm not going to go into all the intricacies, it would take forever, but boot camp in the Special Force Division, Basic On-Water Demolition Preparatory School, Basic On-Water Demolition School, which is kind of that, if anybody's aware of like what SEAL training is, it's kind of that 6-month kick in the nuts, big attrition part down in Coronado, and then SQT, SEAL Qualification Training, which is 7 months long. So really it's like an 18-month pipeline. We started with about 1,000 people and graduated 50. So it was like 1,000 vetted guys, and those 50, we only graduated 13 originals. All those other guys rolled into the class with injuries or failures. So really it was only 13 guys who started at the beginning, went all the way through, and I happened to be one of them. Now it was a lot of luck, a lot of who knows what, but not particularly like that athletic or that this or that. I'm just like okay at a lot of things. I could swim, but I cannot run, and the runs were brutal, man. Brutal. The hypothermia, all that stuff it's as bad or maybe worse as like I thought it was gonna be. But made it, right? Now I'm finishing SQT, the Halo, cold weather mountain warfare, land warfare, all this stuff. Osama bin Laden gets killed right before I'm about to graduate. We had some older brothers and stuff who were on that op. It was a big time to be graduating. There was a lot of attention on the SEAL community. So I felt super grateful, and when I graduated, it was a trip because I remembered like walking out of jail like 3 years before, being like, hey, I'm gonna be a Navy SEAL, you know, and then it actually being there. It was cool. It was a proud moment, and kind of getting it back to like really what we're talking about here was I had this purpose. So I was locked on, man. Right? I didn't feel like I had anything to celebrate. I was just locked on and happy because I was in purpose. I was working towards that, you know, that excellent goal. But truthfully, I hadn't really addressed. It was all topical. I hadn't really addressed the habits. I was just too busy. Right? It's a matter of fact. And I get into the SEAL teams, and I kept that grind going. I get sent to sniper school, get sent to some really good schools. Even as a new guy, I almost died in Mexico doing some protection for Obama on the G20 summit. I almost drowned. It's kind of a weird story. But now I'm like, all right, now we're in a big boy like realm. Like I got to keep myself alive. And so that was a real awakening for me. I deployed to Yemen the next year. We do 7 months in Yemen. It's like it's a gray insert, so it's like low visibility operation thing. It's beards and civilian clothes. And so when we're training like counterterrorism unit, living with the locals out on a fob, it wasn't like hot deployment, but it was a good start, mixing it up a little bit and kind of doing the job. Very, very happy to be out there. That base ended up getting overrun by the Houthis a couple of years later, the rebel group out there. But now I'm not a new guy anymore, right? Now I'm like getting comfortable. Comfortable is a dangerous thing, man. And anybody here knows it's like we have these peaks and valleys, these like ups and then periods of self-sabotage. And I had that, and everybody, when I say that, everybody knows that. We all know that we're like, man, I'm doing good, and then I self-sabotage. Doing good and then self-sabotage, whether it be big or small. And in this case, I was getting comfortable. Okay, now I'm Golden Boy at SEAL Team 7. I'm early promotes. I'm all these schools and this and that, and prepping for the next step. And I hit a guy in a bar on a training trip. and I broke his orbital eye socket. It was one punch, and that cascaded. Now I got an aggravated assault, getting sued for $500,000. Now they're offering me 6 years in prison plus 3 parole. This is my plea deal. So I'm like, oh shit, man. I get demoted, my top secret security clearance gets pulled. It's like a whole thing. It's on the news, they're sending, it was a whole thing. So now I'm fighting that. I'm pulled out of the platoon, and I'm like, oh man, I was just got promoted. I was on to the next thing, and boom, right? And I go, okay, well now what do I do? And I thought my whole world was getting pulled from me. It was a terrible feeling. People that have gone through bad things like that know exactly what it feels like. It's a very lonely feeling to knowing we did it to ourselves. So I'm fighting it by the grace of God and some good attorneys and some stuff, which were expensive. The court allowed me, wrote a letter, SEAL Team 7 wrote a letter and said, we need these guys to go to Iraq with us. I was about to deploy to Iraq. On bail, on felony bail, they let me deploy to Iraq. So I deployed to Iraq knowing that I have a jury trial facing 6 years in prison when I come back. So it was stress stacked on a totally different type of stress. I was on a sniper, I took sniper watch. This was in Iraq, fighting ISIS. This was 2015, prepping for the Mosul offensive. So we were up, building a FOB, just taking Katyusha rockets and dealing with all this shit while I'm thinking about not wanting to go home, man. I volunteered to stay there longer, and I was thinking about going AWOL and joining us in Kurdish Peshmerga. I was like, man, I don't want to come home. Everyone's like, man, it's time to go home, and I did not want to go home. So that 6 months was a tough, dark place. We did some good work. We were, the mission set out there was meet up with Sunni tribal fighters, meet up with the sheikhs. We had 3 different tribes we were working, and then we would train them up, get them into consolidated units, and leapfrog and all the strongholds that ISIS had in these small villages, and making target packages and stuff while we're out there. And that's another deployment where, it's no base, man. Like, you might see deployments like dudes are living on, I've never been on a deployment where you live on a base, man. It's like building our own walls, HESCO walls. You're like half construction worker with a gun. It's a very strange kind of a thing, but I'd rather do that than be around the flagpole. But so that all transpires. Now I'm coming back, I'm like, well, it's time to get this court date settled, I guess. And couple months later, now I'm there, man, and I'm in my dress blues, just back from the strip club, like about to go, just like fuck, walking the plank, man. I'm like, they're having given me, I was hurting. And my lawyer calls me and goes, hey man, guess what? We got a deal for you. At the court steps. And I'm like, what is it? And he's like, they're gonna max out misdemeanors. You're on 4 years of formal probation. You can't drink, can't do drugs, any tests. You can't leave San Diego without whatever. I'm like, and he goes, and you gotta pay all this money. So I sold my truck, man, my whole Iraq check, right? Just to keep his business. Fine. I was like, let's do this. All right, cool. Because a misdemeanor was, I can make that work with the top secret clearance. So I was clear, man. Now I'm on formal probation, and I was like, all right. I got that shit. I'm locked on, man. I was locked on for like a month. Like a month, man. And then that girl calls, man. The distractions started picking up. I'm like, okay, I could go out. And next thing you know, I'm pretty much right back on it. Pretty much right back on it, man. And it was 3 months on this formal probation where they were letting me do my thing. They really weren't in my Wheaties because I hadn't really caused any problems or whatever. So I was getting looser and looser. And I'm at a Jimmy Buffett concert, of all places, man. Jimmy Buffett concert. And I hop in a county golf cart. No shirt, drunk. And I just take this little golf cart. It happens to be a county golf cart. Somebody calls the cops. I'm just riding around the parking lot. It's like 100 people around. And they go, hey man, they pull me over. I'm like, I can't have these guys run my, I'm gonna get clipped up, man. So he goes, let me get your ID. I'm like, okay, man. And I start running. Man, they tackled me. I get up, shed them. They sick the dog on me, man. Now it's like tasers. I'm pulling tasers up. Mayhem, dude. And they finally get me down with like the third taser. Give me all the love, man. And throw me in the back of the cop car. I'm all bloody, man, covered in dirt. I have this huge chunk out of my ass still from the German Shepherd. And I get slammed in the back of the car, man, and I knew when that door shut, man, I had just put the nail in the coffin of my SEAL career. It was done. And I was like, I wasn't even sad, man. I was like, I cannot believe I did this to myself again. And it was true, man. I was starting to finally be like, oh, I'm doing it to myself. It's not really anything else. And well, go to jail, I bail out quick, had a good credit card and bail out quick before I was on formal probation, so technically I wasn't even allowed to. But now I'm at the SEAL team. The whole SEAL Team 7's mustered. They heard, I told them, I said, call SEAL Team 7 immediately when I was in the back of the cop car. I was like, let's charge the machine gun nest. So they get the calls, they're like, he was fighting a cop or whatever. I wasn't fighting a cop, I would never do that, but I was trying to get away for sure. And now the whole SEAL Team 7's mustered, which is like they're all grouped up in the parking lot. Everybody's pissed at me on a Sunday, right? And you got 100 pissed off SEALs, and I get called in, and I'm like, well, they drug test me, I pass. And drugs weren't really my thing, man. I would just get on that firewater too hard. And then Navy JAG was not feeling it. They're like, I was beating the charge again. I had good lawyers. I was kind of like using some connections and and Navy JAG was like, negative, dude. When they read the thing, they're like, this guy's on performance enhancing drugs. So they steroid tested me, sent it up to the Olympic Testing Center, which is kind of unheard of. And I lit that motherfucker up. I failed hard or passed, whatever you want to say. But and they said, I was like, yep, that sounds about right. And I wasn't trying to fight it because I knew what I was doing. It's zero tolerance, but I wasn't going to sit here and like pretend. And so SEAL Team 7 was very good with me. The SEAL Command wasn't really that pissed. They were like, yeah, you're a knucklehead, but as an operator, I had a good reputation, and I just had a couple issues that were, well, it was selfish, man. You know, and it was selfish looking back. I just hadn't really understood the larger scope here of what was going on. But now I'm getting kicked out of the SEAL teams. So that was a feeling of, what am I going to do? Fear. I had no other skill sets other than slanging a chopper. I had no idea what I was going to do. So I'm like, well, I'll start moving some contacts. I had to go back to jail. So this was the second time I had been in jail. I kind of skipped over that. But I went to jail in Idaho for a few weeks, and then I'll go to jail in Idaho, back there for a few weeks. And I walk out, and I'm out of the Navy, right? I'm done. I signed my DD 214. I got a general under honorable circumstances. And the SEAL Team 7 captain who capped mine, because they gave me an OTH, but he had the abilities like, this operator's good. He messed up a little bit, so I got a general. So I got out with the general, which I'm very grateful for, and now I'm like, what am I going to do? So I had leveraged some contacts. I actually ended up going I worked for as a supervisor for one of the largest private residential developers in the United States on one of the largest projects in the United States, which was down in San Diego. $750 million project. It was massive. And so I was drinking out of a fire hose. Don't know anything about construction really, but I know how to run teams and get information. And so we had some measures of success, doing well. But when I got out, now the lack of true purpose was like fully exposed. Now, mind you, I had, the beautiful girlfriend, the truck, the house, I had the beach, but I had not addressed the underlying issues, and they started to really, now I had no governor on. So man, I started doing Adderall, Xanax, alcohol every day, man. Now weed's legal, man. I'm smoking weed every day just to kind of chill out at night, but didn't really see the problem with it, right? It's all prescription, man. It's this, it's that, I'm not really doing anything wrong, and I caution anybody who's like kind of into that, just be careful in the long run. You're bending reality. It's tough to do for a long period of time. It's impossible, I think. Just throws your balance off. Emotionally not disciplined. Relationship was kind of going in shambles, just anger, things. I think I had not dealt with shit. Really, I just hadn't dealt with anything yet. So we did a lateral move. I had a buddy who's launching a company, a cannabis distribution company in California. So now I'm the chief security officer of that. Now he gets fired. Now the venture capitalist promotes me. Now I'm the CEO of this company and like his right-hand man for some other thing. Now I'm pitching decks for millions. Now I'm this big cheese in this high-rise, building facilities out and meeting with congressmen, and I'm like burning the candle at all ends. Just with investors, man, I'm sleeping 3 hours a day. And I decided to stack on a fentanyl and opiate habit at night, just for good kicks and measures. And so I'm snorting fentanyl at night, waking up, taking Adderall, first thing in the day, going hard all day long, cracked out as fuck pretty much. Then, but still crushing it. Like we're building, and that's why I could lie to myself. I'm like, look, nobody can tell me shit, man. I'm crushing it. And man, you cannot maintain that. My world came crashing down, fell on my face, quite literally. Man, I did a line of fentanyl, went down, smashed my face open on and I was in not at a business event, but we were staying somewhere. My girlfriend walks in, and just the boss found out. It was just all the stuff, and everybody knew I had to be. Everybody could see it except me, right? That's how it always is. Everybody sees it except the person experiencing it. And it was done. It was done. I was kind of pushed out, like, hey man, go take some time, that whole thing. Go take your time now, okay. And so I leave, I go to the big island of Hawaii, and I just move all my shit out there. I sold my shares in the company, and I'm like, I'm just gonna figure out and wait for that call, right? That thing that's gonna come, man. And man, I knew I had to get off opiates. I knew that for sure. And so that was the first week there, I just was like, well, I'm cutting everything. I'm gonna get off opiates. Man, if anybody has gotten off of that, that was brutal, man. And I didn't really think I was addicted to anything. That was true addiction. Well, how would I know? I'd never stopped, right? So I wouldn't know. But that was after doing it for a year solid, and it was like crawling out of your skin, right? Didn't sleep for a week. I took myself to the emergency room. I'm like, man, I'm a Navy SEAL, man. I've had some sleep deprivation. I'm maxed out right now, right? My joints are starting to swell in 5-6 days, no sleep. But finally we get through that, and I'm like, okay, coming out of the clouds a little bit now. I'm just working out, trying to feel it out, trying to build back up, and that call never came, right? That now I'm isolated, I'm just cutting my phone off, and now next thing I know, money's running out, man. Next thing you know, I'm like, oh shit, right? Yeah, it was always something else would come, man, and then next thing I know, I'm out of money and I'm in my truck, man, and I'm parked I dropped my buddy off at the airport, and I realized, dude, I got no gas. I got no fucking money. I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, what? Damn. I'm like, well, let me just drive somewhere in the jungle and let me situate and figure this shit out. That call will come for sure, right at the darkest hour. And I sat there in that truck, man. That call never came, right? And I'm in there for 3 days, man. And I remember turning the keys off, and I was like, all right. And it was everything finally settled. It was almost 2 years to the day of when I had walked out of United States military to this point, to kind of give you a timeline. And this was 2019 when this was going down. And I go, well, I'm fucking tired, man. I was just tired. And I wasn't sad. It was way beyond sad. Sad was toast. I was tired, and I just was like, dude, I want to fucking try anymore, bro. I was just up and down. I didn't have it in me anymore. And I had this sawed-off shotgun next to me on my passenger seat, man. I thought about killing myself in 3 days. I would go for little walks in the jungle, man, and I'd walk over to this cliff, man. I'm like, man, I could jump. I'm like, this shit ain't high enough, bro. I'll just get all fucked up on the rocks, man. And I was dead serious. And I was like pragmatically going through this thing, and I was like, bro, it was right near where the volcano was erupting. And I go, dude, I'll jump in a fucking volcano, man. And I was like, and I said that statement, man, and I was like, what the fuck, dude? I was like, bro, you can't even kill yourself, dude. You're losing it, man. And I started laughing, and it was this frame, and this is one of those points where that authentic voice hits you, and I was like, I call it God, man, but he's like, dude, you bitch, listen to your internal dialogue. You have a mother, loves you, a sister, friends. I had a lot of connectivity, man, and I had just cut myself. I'm like, what is their life gonna be like? Dude, what legacy are you gonna leave? Just absolute destruction. And so I go, all right, fuck this, man. I'm going in the French Foreign Legion. Fuck this. If I'm gonna die, I'm gonna do it with my boots on. Well, let's see how this works out. And so now going back, now we'll touch back on the story a little bit, is where did I learn about the French Foreign Legion? What is the French Foreign Legion? Does anybody know what that is? All right, just to get, well, the French Foreign Legion is a 200-year-old institution in France, which is just comprised of foreign fighters, no French. And it was started by an old king And in like the 1800s, to get foreigners in his country who had been from a previous battle out of his bars and out of his streets and back onto the battlefield fighting for France without the political pressure of French coming back in body bags. So that's where that started. And the French Foreign Legion has been fighting in every war for France since Algeria in the 1800s to now, to Afghanistan and Iraq and every and it's 150 nations represented in the French Foreign Legion. It's Mongolians, Thai, Brazilians, every African nation you can imagine. A lot of Ukrainians I worked with, a lot of Belarusians, Russians, every single country you can imagine, and like me. And there's only one way to join. One way to join, there's no application, you don't call anybody. You literally have a bag and you go knock on a door that's it's like an old medieval castle outside of Paris. There's 2 spots you can do it, up in Paris and down in South France. You just go knock on the fucking door. That's it, like Wizard of Oz shit. And a guy with a gun and a green beret will answer it and be like, qu'est-ce qui se passe? Which is, you have to learn French when you're there. I'll talk about that in a minute. But you bring your passport and a bag with like some sport clothes, some civilian clothes, and some toiletries. That's it. And 365 days a year, 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. You can go knock on that door at Christmas Day morning and they'll open it. It's a very unique institution. 7,000 guys spread across the world, from Tahiti and Africa. Just the French Foreign Legion's down there a lot. Now, what is it? Like, why was I doing this, man? Let's talk about fulfillment, man. I was like, not fulfilled. I was like, I need to be fulfilled by this. A lot of my life I spent like getting fulfillment with immediate gratification, pleasure seeking, and like external validation. Like, oh, this like Navy SEAL, that title's gonna fix me. Or now it's like, oh, French Foreign Legionnaire, like I'm gonna do this and it's gonna fix me.
Alright guys, we're gonna take a break. Make sure you grab papers.
That's it. That's a wrap. Dars Cox Construction. Thank you for the invite. I got a great company, man. Great crew. The inaugural leadership conference. Dars Cox Construction. What can I say? Thank y'all. It was a great event. Tried to lay it down. We did lay it down. Great message. Good people. Man, it's all about that accountability, that commitment to excellence. It's time to go home now. Thanks for coming.